everybody, it's Benny One, and I'm back at you with episode 4 of WandaVision, everybody. That is right, it's Friday. The newest episode of WandaVision is out. It's episode 4, everybody. I think we're like almost halfway through this first season of the first Marvel Disney show on Disney Plus, everybody. That's right. So, just so you guys know, spoilers galore, you guys. So, if you haven't watched this episode yet, go watch it. It's like I think it was like 28 minutes when the credits hit finally, because they're shorter episodes, sitcom style. So yes, spoilers. I'm going to spoil the living shit out of this episode. So go watch it, and then if you want to, come on back and watch me talk about it if you want. I appreciate it. Thank you. So we have the 4th episode of WandaVision, everybody. This episode breaks the formula of the first 3 episodes, where they're following an era of sitcoms, because the first episode was the 50s, the second episode is the 60s, and the third episode was the 70s. So they're following this formula of going through the decades of past sitcoms and pulling from certain ones, like they had the Brady Bunch, and they're pulling from old. It's kind of a little bit of a celebration of those, but this episode breaks that formula and really informs us of what is going on in this TV show, everybody. And it's kind of what I thought was going on, and a lot of other people thought was going on. There's still things that are kind of like, well, what the hell is going on with this character and that? And so this episode picks up in basically where Avengers Endgame is pretty much coming to an end, because we see Monica, the person in the last episode that Wanda threw out of the bubble that they're in, or at least I thought she threw her out of the bubble. They didn't show it, but they do show it in this episode, and she most definitely kicked her out of the bubble. She told her she was trespassing and she needed to get the hell out, basically. And she fucking wandered her ass out of there, man. Literally fucking threw her out. So anyway, we go back to when the Hulk does a snap and brings everybody back. And Monica starts appearing in this hospital. It's the reverse of when people disappeared from the snap. It's the same effect, but they're coming back to life. They actually showed people coming back to life, and it was in a hospital. So it was it was chaotic, it was hectic, because people were just all of a sudden appearing and coming back to life, and they had been gone for 5 years. So it was crazy to see the real world setting of people coming back from when the Hulk snapped his finger from Avengers Endgame. It was just crazy to see. And our character Monica Rambeau is one of the people that came back, and she was like, where's my mom? Where's my mom? Where's my mom? And her mom passed away 3 years before that. So that's how they kind of set. Now you know where this show literally takes place. It takes place not very long after Avengers Endgame. And we find out that Monica is in a government group called SWORD, which is basically, they're like the FBI, they're like S.H.I.E.L.D., they're just another one of those S.H.I.E.L.D. type groups out there that protect us against aliens and stuff like that. That's what SWORD is. And a cool fact, there's a lot of Easter eggs in this episode. Cool fact is, she's the daughter of Maria, the pilot from Captain Marvel, everybody. That's right, they have her picture on the wall. She's the one that established SWORD back in the day, and that's who she was in the hospital with. Her mom died from cancer, so. But yeah, little Easter egg there from Captain Marvel. Awesomeness going on there. So yeah, we find out, and then that's the thing, is this episode is showing us what has been going on outside of what Wanda and Vision are doing in their little sitcom reality. So we finally get to figure out what the hell is going on. SWORD is most definitely not the villains in this show, I would say, at all, because they're the ones that go to this little town, the West Valley town, and Monica goes there, and she's like the local sheriffs are like, this town doesn't exist at all. It's called East Valley. There is no West Valley. And they find out that there's this barrier that they're sending these drones through, little helicopter drones. So if you remember from a previous episode, Wanda finds a red and yellow helicopter that is color, even though the show is black and white. Well, that is the helicopter drone that went into the bubble that they're in. And it did change a little. When things go inside of this bubble, they do change. They change to fit the era that the sitcom is in, too. That's also another interesting thing about this whole crazy-ass show. Yeah, it's nuts. So then we find out Monica goes in, and as you see in the first few episodes, she is a character in here. She's blending in and trying to fit in until the end of the third episode, when she blows her cover and she brings up Ultron and her brother, and Wanda gets pissed and boom, shoots her out of there, because that's where the third episode ended. And that's where this episode ends also, because we just got to see what was going on in the real world, everybody. Like, it was crazy. Kate Dennings is in this episode, everybody. Darcy from the freaking 2 Thor movies is in this episode. Awesome. They bring her on board. And she's the one that figures out that what is going on inside is basically like sitcoms. They figured out that Wanda somehow has created this bubble over them and this fake reality on the inside. And they're living through sitcoms, and she starts bringing out all these old tube TVs and shit so they can watch it. And they're like, at one point they're literally watching it like they're watching a sitcom TV show. It's really cool. But she's the one that figured that shit out. And then she's the one, they did the experiment with the voice over the radio, and like they were the ones that were doing that. So but by the end of this episode, basically we figure out that Wanda is the one that's doing all of this. That's what Monica says after she gets thrown out, and they bum rush her with all their vehicles, and that is literally where the episode ended. Monica literally says, it's Wanda, it's all Wanda, she's doing all of this. Which I've kind of thought from the beginning that either someone is messing with her, or she is so traumatized and messed up from what happened to her with Vision dying in Infinity War, and then getting snapped, and then coming back to fight Thanos at the end of Endgame. Like, she is just fucked up, like, plain and simple, upstairs. I'm sorry to cuss, but like, she's traumatized, and she's created this reality where Vision exists, even though I think Vision is dead still, because he died at the end of Infinity War before everybody got blipped and snapped. Like, I think Vision is dead. I do not think he's alive. And there was a part in the episode where I most definitely think Vision is dead for sure, because she saw it when in episode 3, when Vision walks into the door after she sends Monica's character away and the babies are there. In this episode, when he walks in the door and she turns around and looks at him, he's the dead Vision, where the stone is ripped out of his head and he's mostly almost gray. So that's why I think Vision is dead, everybody. Dead. And I think this SWORD group and the FBI and everything in the government, they were looking for Wanda. They found her, and now they know what the hell's going on. She's created this bubble and this reality that's fake and everything because she's messed up in the head. She's traumatized. She needs help. She needs a therapist or something. And that's honestly what I think is going on. I'm super excited for the rest of this show to pan out, because now that we know what's really going on, I just feel like the show could get super freaking crazy. Because Wanda is tough. She could be very dangerous. If she's mentally unstable, she could be very dangerous. Very, very dangerous. And this episode was different. It wasn't the same formula as the first 3. This was more like a Marvel-esque, like, movie TV show. Like, this is what we're used to seeing in Marvel movies, is what happened in this episode. But I do think we're going to transition back into that sitcom style episodes with the outside world, parts in it also. So it's going to be a mixture, I'm thinking, which is cool because I think the next era we're going to is the 80s, everybody. That is right, 80s. So, like I said, I'm not going to give scores for these episodes until I do a final season review. So I enjoyed this episode. I think they just keep getting better and better and better, and they're giving us more plot stuff. So I hope you guys enjoyed this this review. Jesus, woo! And like the video for me, I appreciate it. And be catching you on tube later because I have spoken.